Nepal is in chaos as Prime Minister KP Oli resigns amid violent youth-led protests. The Gen Z uprising, sparked by corruption and a social media ban, has led to deadly clashes, leaving at least 19 dead. Ministers resign and embassies express grief as the country teeters on the edge of collapse. Is this the beginning of a new era in Nepal, or will the government regain control? The nation is on fire, literally and politically. In a dramatic turn of events, Nepalese Prime Minister KP Oli resigned on September 9th after days of youth-led protests spiraled into one of the deadliest crackdowns in years. The Gen Z movement, mobilized against corruption and the sweeping social media ban, has shaken the political establishment to its core. At least 19 people were killed, igniting fresh anger across the country and leaving the government on the brink of collapse. According to reports citing officials, Oli telephoned Army Chief General Ashok Raj Sigdel before stepping down, urging him to take charge of the worsening crisis. General Sigdel reportedly told the Prime Minister that the military could only stabilise the situation if Oli relinquished power. Reports also said Oli sought the Army's assistance in securing safe passage out of his Baluwata residence, with plans to fly to Dubai under the pretext of medical treatment. A private Himalaya Airlines jet was placed on standby. The turmoil began on September 5th, when the Nepal Telecommunications Authority ordered a sweeping ban on 26 social networking platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, and X. The move enraged young Nepalis, who launched mass demonstrations nationwide. Although the government restored access to the platforms late on September 8th after the crackdown claimed 19 lives, the protests only grew larger and more defiant. By September 9th, protesters had taken to the streets across Nepal. In Kathmandu, crowds hurled stones and set fire to the residences of senior political leaders, including CPN MC Chair Pushpa Kamal Dahal, Communication Minister Prithvi Subagurung, and former Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak. Ministers and their families were airlifted from Baisapati by military helicopters after a wave of arson and vandalism. Unrest spread far beyond the capital. In Hatauda and Manahari Bazaar of Makwanpur district, protesters blocked the east-west highway by burning tyres, paralysing traffic. In Salahi, demonstrators torched offices of the Nepali Congress and CPN UML, accusing the parties of enabling police brutality. In Koshi province, crowds gathered at Devkota Chowk near the provincial assembly, demanding accountability and clashing with security forces. In the far west, protesters stormed the Chief Minister's office and vandalised government vehicles belonging to Chief Minister Kamal Bahadur Shah. As violence mounted, authorities imposed sweeping curfews. In Kathmandu and Lalitpur, restrictions were enforced in central districts including Baisapati, Sanepa and Chiasal. Kavra Palanchok was placed under curfew from midday, with highways shut down amid escalating clashes. Security forces remain on high alert nationwide as the Gen Z revolt transforms into Nepal's gravest political crisis in years. As political turmoil in Nepal worsens, several cabinet ministers either resigned or announced their intention to resign, citing the government's ignorance towards the protesters' grievances. There are 25 ministers, including the Prime Minister, in the Nepal cabinet. Minister for Agriculture and Livestock Development, Ramnath Adhikari, resigned from his post. Adhikari quit the post on September 9th, citing the government's authoritarian response during Gen Z protests. The Kathmandu Post reported that in his resignation letter, Nepali Congress lawmaker Adhikari said that instead of recognizing citizens' natural right to question democracy and stage peaceful protests, the state responded with widespread suppression, killings and use of force, moving the country towards authoritarianism rather than democracy. He added that he could not remain in power without answers on how the government resorted to violent behaviour against a generation with which it should cooperate to build the nation. Home Minister Ramesh Lekak also resigned on the evening of September 8th, submitting his resignation to Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli following the deadly Gen Z protests. Minister for Water Supply Pradeep Yadav too has resigned from his post. Yadav, a lawmaker from the Janata Samajwadi Party, JSP, Nepal, submitted his resignation to Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli on September 9th, citing the government's violent response to the protests. In his resignation statement, Yadav said he could not continue in office following the tragic loss of life and the government's use of force against the country's youth.
Supporting the movement of Gen Z youths and opposing the repression carried out by the government and administration, I hereby resign from the post of Minister for Water Supply. Dear young brothers and sisters, you are my first companions and the source of my energy. I appeal to everyone to remain calm and to guide and support the youth in the right direction.
The embassies of Australia, Finland, France, Japan, the Republic of Korea, the United Kingdom, Norway, Germany, and the United States in Nepal have issued a joint statement expressing grief over the violence that has swept through Kathmandu and other parts of the country amid the ongoing Gen Z-led anti-corruption protests.
We are deeply saddened by the violence seen in Kathmandu and elsewhere in Nepal today, including the tragic loss of life and injury during demonstrations. We extend our sincere condolences to the families of the victims, all those affected, and wish those injured a swift and full recovery.
We urge all parties to exercise maximum restraint, avoid further escalation, and ensure that these fundamental rights are protected. The diplomatic missions also reaffirmed their strong support for the universal rights of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression, urging all sides to avoid escalation. At least 19 people have died so far in the nationwide protests, which escalated sharply in Kathmandu on September 8th. Hundreds have been injured in clashes between demonstrators and security personnel, making it one of the deadliest crackdowns in recent years.